The NWSL season kicks off March 16th, and if you live outside the United States, it is available to you for free. All you have to do is sign up for NWSL Plus, and you get access to 190 live matches, including playoffs and the championship. You have full match replays, and highlights are available for every match. Now, women's soccer in general is growing, this league is growing, and from a Canadian perspective, there are now 20 Canadians playing in the league. So what we are going to do today is we are going to give you a guide on what club you need to pick, because this is a league you must follow for the 2024 season. Our first contestant is coming out of Portland, Oregon. It is the Portland Thorns, or better known here in Canada as Portlandia Thorns. Now, they have some talent on this side. They have a Canadian legend, the GOAT, Christine Sinclair, who is still on the Thorns. They have Janine Becky as well, which, I mean, if you follow her on and off the pitch, she's always a joy to keep an eye on. Hopefully, she'll have a fit and firing season. And, of course, the exciting one, someone that Alex actually recently interviewed, Jessie Fleming, moving over from Chelsea FC, joining the Thorns. This is a star-studded Canadian lineup here. And kind of something curious as well, you have the new Canadian captain in Jessie Fleming and the former longtime captain in Christine Sinclair. Alex, I think it's fair to say that this is probably the favorite right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, look, to add to the captain, you probably have a co-captain too in Janine Becky. So it's just leadership. And look, that's a big reason why the Thorns are a joy to watch. They're just a team filled of leaders, winners. This is a team which I found fascinating in my research. Last year, they didn't claim a trophy. That was the first time since 2019 they went a year without winning some sort of trophy. This is a team that just, they're serial trophy winners. They won the NWSL playoffs in 2022. They won the Shield before that. This is a team that wants to win, and I think because of that, if you're a Canadian fan, you want to see winners. You want to see some of the best Canadian players. They're not going to disappoint. They've also got some great talent across the board, some interesting youngsters. I think this Portland theme, and what's nice too, is that there could be more on the way. We have to remember that Karina LeBlanc is the GM of the team, and she's been pushing to bring in more Canadians as the former Canadian goalkeeper. So there's also that Canadian connection off the pitch. Former Valor and Canadian youth coach Rob Gale, is also in the system. Like, this is a team that just loves their Canadians. Christine Sinclair is basically adopted Portland native at this point. If you want Canadian, you want winning, I think you're going to do well with Portland.
Now, when you pick a club, that's something that I think is important, is obviously finding a winning culture. But even diving a little bit deeper into that, Alex, if you were somewhere in the West Coast, this is not a very difficult place to get. If you end up making it down for a weekend, they got an incredible atmosphere. And you could potentially double up. You could watch maybe the Timbers game, which also have a ton of Canadians, and then make your way over to a Thorns match. I think this one's going to be a very, very difficult side to beat.
Oh, exactly. And this Portland Thorns team really wants to go far this year. I think this Jessie Fleming signing in particular is a huge sign of intent. They paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring her in, one of the biggest fees in league history for a player outside the league. Fleming just turned 26, still very much just entering at her prime, it feels like, with that sort of team and some of the talent they have around. I think this Portland team is legit looking at a top 2, top 3 finish in regular season play. And of course, they want to win the playoffs at the end of the year. So this is definitely going to be a big year for Portland. And combined with the Canadians, I think it makes it a very attractive.
Contestant number 2 is the only club coming out of the East. And I came up with the nickname, so I might be a little biased here, but we got the Great White North Carolina Courage coming on down. There's 3 players in the squad as well. Sydney Collins, who is, in my opinion, having a bit of a breakout moment right now with the national team, Bianca St. George, and Victoria Pickett. I mean, they have the number of players that matches Portland. But Alex, do they have what it takes to overcome everything we just talked about coming out of Portland?
Yeah, if you want a bit of a sleeper pick, there's a lot to like with this Courage team. Coming off a pretty good year, quietly good year. It feels like they finished 3rd in the regular season. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, which was a bit disappointing, but they did lose to eventual winners Gotham. And look, they still got some silverware at the end of the day because they won the Challenge Cup before the season started. And I think what's nice with this team is they got a young crop of Canadians. Sydney Collins just heading into her 2nd year in the league. She was excellent as a rookie once she found her feet. Of course, turned that into a spot with the Canadian national team. Victoria Pickett as well, still relatively fresh and young in the league. She made a couple moves. She KC to Gotham. Now she's in North Carolina. Hopefully, she can really find a home in that midfield because I really like her talents as a ball playing midfield. She can kind of play anywhere 6, 8, 10. I really like her as an 8. Then Bianca St. George's swaps, Chicago, where she spent a couple years, gets to come now to a North Carolina team on the upswing after Chicago's struggled a bit. So I think this is a team filled with young Canadians who are pushing to be in an Olympic squad, but will also be pushing for trophies. So who knows? Maybe if you're one who wants to kind of bet on some underdogs, bet on some faces that might not be as known as yet versus the known commodity that is the Thorns, I think the Courage can be a nice plucky pick for some of the people looking for a bit of a different.
Now that's exactly where I was going to go because like we mentioned, Portland is covered in stars, but I guess you could maybe argue besides Fleming, like Sinclair is done with the national team, Becky's had her injuries, so these are 3 players that are maybe just on the outside looking in at the national team, except for probably Collins, who I think could be a good argument for that starting kind of left wing back role. But the big advantage I think that they have is out of the 5 list, gave it away a little bit, they're the only club coming out of the East, so we'll see how far that goes, but I think they have a good opportunity to compete up there with the Thorns.
Yeah, for sure. I think the fact that they were within that mix last year, I mean, to be fair, it was competitive off the board. I think it was something like 14 points separated first and last in the league last year. Something really ridiculous like that. Like it was very close. So for North Carolina, they feel that they've overall maintained a lot of their key pieces. They'll look to see what they won last year. They'll feel that they have what it takes to build off that, especially that playoff disappointment. I think they'll take that and want to win. Because the thing is about the Courage too, they've won a lot in the past, so they have that kind of pedigree of wanting to return to that level, and I think that will fuel them for a great season.
For contestant number 3, we have the Houston Canadash. Shout out to X for that one, very clever. Now, this is a side that is right up there with the Portland Thorns and have had Canadian talent for a very long time, and they still have 3 Canadians on the squad right now. They have Canadian legend Sophie Schmidt. Her national career may be over, but she is not done at the club level right now. They have young Amanda West, who I know Alex is very excited about, and of course they have Alicia Chapman. We'll talk about her future a little bit with the pregnancy, but she could definitely still potentially feature for Canada in the future.
Yeah, so it's a very intriguing group, and what's nice is they've had a bunch of Canadians for a while now. They had Devon Kerr a few years ago. They just traded Nichelle Prince, but they made sure to draft Amanda West to ensure they've got at least a trio of Canadians, so you can at least appreciate their investment in Canadians. And they've got a fun group. Look, I mean, Sophie Schmidt, it's going to be weird not to see her at playing for Canada. She's in some great form. She's having some of her best club seasons to date, despite hitting her mid-30s. Big reason for that is she is just absolutely fit. Like, I think last off season she ran a triathlon for fun. Like, that's the kind of fitness you're dealing with Sophie Schmidt. So I could see her still, playing for a few more years if she can keep that up, and is a key part of this Dash team where they absolutely love her. Then Chapman, I mean, she is just an absolute competitor. That's the thing where, of course, it's a huge moment in her life right now, and of course, congratulations to her for, her child and everything that she's going through in that regard. She's going to be back. You just feel it. Like she's always been just the fiercest of competitors. Everyone saw the viral moment last year at the World Cup, where she made the tackle and then the audio picked her up saying some funny expletives to one of the Irish players. But that's Chapman for you. So I think it'll be good to get her back on the pitch at the club level, and we'll see if she can push back into the country fold for Canada. I wouldn't bet against her, but West is the fun one to watch here. She's freshly drafted out of college, and she was very good at Pittsburgh. She scored a lot of goals and had a lot of assists. Most people were saying that she could have easily been a first-round pick. Some wondered just if she's Canadian, because of course they count as internationals in the league, that she dropped a little further. But Houston, they weren't bothered by that. They got her in the 3rd round. They've signed her to a deal. I think she can really do some damage up front. So I'm excited by that because she's got a lot of pedigree. So look, this Houston team, they have a lot of work to do. They only have one trophy in their existence. It was the Challenge Cup in the COVID year in 2020. Other than that, success has eluded them. Last year, they missed the playoffs. They're really going to want to rebuild. They made some big trades to address that, and let's see if these Canadians can help them lead the charge as they head towards a bigger and better year.
That was a very interesting point you made about Schmidt and the fact that she might be, in better fitness right now. Because maybe it's not that surprising. She has played 226 matches for Canada. So considering the fact that she's retired and those matches won't come anymore, she gets to put her entire focus at the club level. She's still only 35, so we could definitely get a few more seasons out of her. But I think the interesting thing for the Dash is that they're kind of like the hipster pick. You know, if like we said, we want serial winners, you want the star-studded players. Maybe that Portland pick's still like a little bit up there for you. But if you want kind of like the edgy kind of out there pick, the Dash, they don't have a big track record of winning trophies, but they are a talented club. They've always had Canadians, and they have potentially the breakout Canadian star we could watch out for this season in Amanda West. So there's definitely reason to potentially go for this club.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a very fair choice if you want, a team to you want to be with the team that makes a rise and ends up making that jump to the top level. It can be a very rewarding and fun journey. And, I think with a team like the Dash, there's a lot of potential, a lot of upside in this team. They're clearly serious about getting to that winning mentality that they haven't been able to get. I think there's a lot of fun picks with the Dash. And look, if you for a hipster pick, they've got a really just fun, bright orange jersey. You can also get on board with that, right?
If you're looking for a rivalry, contestant number 4 may just be for you. Because like I said, I think the popular pick will be the Portland Thorns. But there's that Cascadia derby there. The Seattle Reign. Seattle Reign. They're the other pick. And this is a vicious derby that has gone on for a very long time. And like I said, that's going to be the popular pick. A lot of people are going to want to go with Portland, but there is still a lot of talent coming out of Seattle. Incredible fan base. The Emerald City is absolutely beautiful. You have Jordan Heidema, one of the more popular players on the national team, along with Quinn. Alex, this is an interesting one. This is what makes sports fun is, like I said, if you have some friends that are starting to follow the league, and like I said, a lot of them are going for a certain club, you pick the exact rival, and there could be some heated debates in the near future.
Yeah, and it helps that, definitely intense is a good way to put this rivalry. Some of those games they have last year it's fun to watch. You can tell anything Portland Seattle's always going to mean is something. And when it comes to soccer, and especially two franchises like this that have won a lot too, like for Seattle, they're looking for the big one this year. It's no secret they're yet to win a playoff title, but they have 3 shields. They've shown that they can consistently over the course of seasons be one of the top teams, be in that playoff mix. It's just in the playoffs they haven't gotten that job done, but they've got the team to push for that sort of success this year. And I think what's exciting too is that Hoytema and Quinn play such a huge part. Hoytema has pretty much been one of the main, if not the main number 9 option now. Last year, she was, as long as she wasn't with Canada, she was leading the line for the Reign. They made it all the way to the final, unfortunately fell short. Hoytema got to start in that game. Super exciting. Meanwhile, Quinn, over the last few years, it took a while for them to kind of embed into that midfield, which was very stacked. But now they're a regular starter too at that number 6 position and play a key role as one of the best number 6s in the whole league. So I think what's nice too is you're getting 2 very impactful Canadian contributors on a very good team, a team that should win. You add in the rivalry aspect. What's fun too is that they've just recently went from a rebrand or a rebrand, because they were once the Seattle Reign, became the OL Reign, and now are the Seattle Reign again. Got some fun new kits, fun new identity. This can kind of be a pick where it feels like you're jumping on board what they'll hope is a new title-winning era.
Alex, I also think it's important to note where they're located, because you are on the West Coast. Vancouver's got a ton of soccer fans. If anyone out there in the West Coast is looking to actually potentially one day go to a match, out of our list, this is definitely probably the easiest match to attend. Seattle is right there, just under Vancouver. That has to go a long way, because if you want to get the real feel of this league, you always want to go to a match.
Yeah, I love going to Seattle games from here, because it's a 3-hour drive from Vancouver on a good day. Sometimes more, sometimes less. That's the beauty of American traffic. But I think that's a huge plus. You got to go see, this live and exciting team in action down in Seattle. There's always some great teams. What's nice is that you can always pick a game too where there's a fun opposition in town. Who knows? Maybe if Portland, you can bring your Portland friends and then go have a bit of a rivalry game. If the Courage are coming from across the country, you can see a bunch of Canadians all in action. Ditto with the Canada Dash. There's a lot of options there too. This flexibility to go see a game. A lot of the games too are sometimes in the afternoon, which is kind of nice. You can drive down nice and early, but still get back. There's a lot of bonuses to that proximity that's important.
Finally, we have contestant number 5. It is the KC Current. KAC current, get it? That is what X came up with, so again, credit to them. They have 2 Canadians on their squad, both very, very talented players, Nichelle Prince and Desiree Scott. I can't say enough about both of them. I'm expecting still, despite being 36 years old, Scott should still play a part for the national team going forward, and we know Nichelle Prince will be scoring goals for both Canada and her club.
Yeah, this is a fun pick. I think this is one where you can really end up looking like a good hipster pick. KC struggled last year. In particular, they scored a lot of goals, but they were shipping them for fun. But obviously, knowing that this year they've looked to address their defensive side of the game. Surely, I think they missed a Desiree Scott too. Didn't play very much last year with she dealt with knee injury. So I think that this is huge because they made some massive signings last year. They got Dabinia, who's just, for my money, might be the best player in the league, if not one of the top 3. This is a team that wants to win the title. And I think this feels like a year where they could really do that. I'm very excited to see what Nichelle Prince can do with the Dabinia, especially, Prince, it feels like for Canada, she's had a bit of a revolution, so to speak, just in the fact that she's become such a good number 9 after being a winger for so long. I'm really hoping that she can get to play this number 9 role at KC with the Dabinia underneath her. That could be an absolutely lethal partnership, and it could really allow Prince to find her feet after the surprise trade for the Dash, where she spent the first 7 years of her career. Meanwhile, Scott will be exciting just to have her out in the pitch again. She's the destroyer. She's going to anchor that midfield, do a job defensively. Maybe you're not going to notice her with goals or assists, but she doesn't mind that. She does her job. So yeah, I think it can be a bit of a hipster pick. This KC current team, they want a bit of success because, they moved from Utah a couple years ago and ended up rebranding. This is a team in the past iterations. There's actually been championship winning teams in Kansas in the NWSL, but not this iteration. They want to change that. And they've done a lot of exciting things on and off the field. They built one of the first, I think, soccer-specific women's soccer stadium in North America, which is super cool. They've got, Patrick Mahomes and different investors jumping in on board. Could be a fun hipster pick to jump on board with as they look to turn things around.
Well, Alex, I was about to go there. I was really hoping you didn't mention it. You kind of did. You mentioned Mahomes. But if you're a Swiftie and you've noticed the last Super Bowl and how popular the Kansas City Chiefs came with the Swifties and that relationship, obviously, with Travis Kelce, you might already have a couple Kansas City fan bases. I was amazed in the small town I'm from, the amount of friends I have that all of a sudden have Kansas City Chiefs gears. So if you're looking to get into this league, this may be the obvious underrated pick.
Yeah, look, if there's a blank space in your heart when you're looking for your favorite NWSL team, maybe the KC Current can be that with their Canadian connection and much more as they look to build and have an exciting 2024.
You have now met all of the contestants, so it is up to you to decide who you want to cheer for this upcoming 2024 season. But before we go, we are going to leave you with our picks. Now, we went through a lot of information here, so I'm going to let Alex start. Alex, if you were a new fan coming into this league and you just heard everything we talked about, who would be your pick for a team to support?
Love me a hipster pick, so I'm going to go with the Houston Canada Dash. I just like the upside. I think it would be cool to see them make that jump up into contenders that they want to be. They've got some fun Canadians, a mix of veterans, but also some fresh faces. I think it could be fun to follow a journey like that one as they look to push to the top.
You went with the hipster pick. I'm going to go with the traditional, probably obvious pick, and that is the Portland Thorns. To me, it makes a lot of sense. I've always said if I wanted to go to the United States to actually watch a game live, if it was an NWSL club, it would be the Thorns. And even if it was Major League Soccer, I want to go see the Timbers so I can make a fun weekend out of it. The Timbers have their Canadian players. The Thorns have a fantastic history around it, and they just got one of the star players, the Canadian captain, in Jesse Fleming, who's close to my hometown. So for me, it's an obvious pick. I'm going with the Portland Thorns. Hopefully you all enjoy this episode. Let us know down below in the comments who you are supporting this season. And as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and we'll see you guys soon. Cheers, friends.